Ever pondered over a cup of tea if your red is the same as my red? Quite the intriguing question, isn't it? It's one of those delightful little mysteries that can tickle our minds. You see, perception, much like a chameleon, changes its colours from person to person. It's quite the fascinating spectacle, the way our brain interprets the world around us. Each individual, with their unique set of eyes, processes colours in their own distinctive style. It's rather like having a personal artist inside our heads, painting the world as we see it. Imagine this: your red could be my blue, or my green could be your yellow. The possibilities are endless, and so are the interpretations. It's a charming dance of perception, a waltz between our eyes and our brains. So let's dive into the amusing world of colours and perception. A journey that promises to be as colourful as a painter's palette, and as exciting as a roller coaster ride. Meet our friend Mr. Colorblind, a man with a unique perception of colours. In the vibrant tapestry of life, Mr. Colorblind navigates with an unconventional palette. His everyday encounters are a delightful cocktail of confusions and surprises. Picture this. The world wakes up to a sunny morning, but our friend Mr. Colorblind opens his eyes to a different day. He sees the sun in a shade that's a bit off, not quite the golden yellow we're accustomed to, but hey, that's just another day for him. Now let's take a walk through his wardrobe. Oh, the mismatched socks. They may look like a fashion faux pas to us, but to Mr. Colorblind they're a perfect pair. And then there's his tie collection, a riot of hues that he confidently pairs with his shirts, creating combinations that are, shall we say, unique. Moving on to his ride, a purple car that he fondly calls Blueberry. To Mr. Colorblind, it's as blue as the ocean on a clear day, but to the rest of us, it's as purple as a ripe plum. Yet he drives around town with a grin, oblivious to the amused glances from passers-by. And let's not forget the time he painted his living room. What was meant to be a soothing green turned out to be a vibrant orange. But did that bother him? Not one bit. He simply shrugged and said, "Well, it's cozy." Through all these delightful mishaps, Mr. Colorblind has learned to navigate his world with humour and grace. He's learned to laugh at himself, to embrace his unique perspective, and to appreciate the vivid, if somewhat skewed, colours of his world. Life is never dull for our dear Mr. Colorblind, isn't it? Wipe off that smile, for it's time to wear a scientific hat. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty of how we perceive colours. It all starts with light. You might think of light as that bright stuff that makes you squint in the morning, but scientifically speaking, it's a form of electromagnetic radiation that our eyes are designed to detect. Within this light, there are numerous colour possibilities. Each colour corresponds to a different wavelength of light. Picture a rainbow where red light has a long wavelength, while violet light has a short one. But here's the catch. Our eyes can only detect a small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, a tiny bit we call visible light. So, how do our eyes decode these wavelengths into the colours we see? Well, at the back of our eyes, we have a layer called the retina, which is packed with millions of tiny cells called cones. We have 3 types of cones, each sensitive to different wavelengths of light: short, medium and long, roughly corresponding to blue, green and red light. When light enters our eyes, these cones get to work. They absorb the light and transform it into electrical signals. These signals are then sent to our brain, which interprets them as colour. The combination and intensity of these signals from the 3 types of cones give us the wide range of colours we perceive. But here's the kicker: not everyone's cones are the same. Some people might have more of one type of cone than another, or their cones might be more or less sensitive. This can lead to slight differences in colour perception from person to person. It's like we're all walking around with our own personal colour filters. And then there are those who are colourblind, whose cones don't work as they should. They might see fewer colours or perceive them differently. So my red might not be your red after all. So the next time you see a rainbow, remember, it might not be the same for everyone. Ready for a fun test? No, it's not an exam, I promise. Now that we've delved into the science behind colour perception, let's put that newfound knowledge to the test. But don't worry, You won't be graded on this. It's all for fun and perhaps a dash of enlightenment. So let's dive right in, shall we? Imagine a rainbow, a beautiful arc of colours filling the sky after a gentle rain. Now think of the colour red, the vivid, fiery hue that sits at one end of the spectrum. Picture it in your mind. Got it? Good. Now here comes the fun part. I want you to describe that red. Not in terms of other colours, mind you. No, that would be too easy. I want you to describe it in a way that someone who has never seen colours before could understand. Quite a challenge, isn't it? Is your red fiery like a dragon's breath, warm like a summer's day, or sharp like the sound of a trumpet's blare? Perhaps it's all of these things, or maybe it's none of them. The beauty of colour perception is that your red could be completely different from mine, and that's okay. Now turn our attention to the colour blue, the serene colour of the sky on a clear day and the deep, mysterious hue of the ocean. Can you describe this colour without referencing anything blue? Perhaps it's cool like a winter's breeze, smooth like velvet, or tranquil like a lullaby. These descriptions may seem peculiar, but they highlight the subjective nature of colour perception. They showcase how our individual experiences and interpretations shape our understanding of colour. Remember, there are no right or wrong answers here. This isn't a test to pass or fail, but rather a thought experiment to highlight the uniqueness of our colour perception. It's a testament to the beauty of diversity in our perceptions and interpretations of the world around us. And that's the end of our little colour perception test. Don't worry about tallying up any scores. After all, scores don't matter here, it's all in good fun. So, what did we learn from Mr. Colorblind's colourful life? Well, for starters, we've learned that the universe has a fantastic sense of humour. It's not every day that a man named Mr. Colorblind can teach us so much about colour, right? We delved into the curious question of whether my red is the same as your red, and found ourselves on a journey through the intriguing world of colour perception. We learned that colour isn't just something we see, but something we experience, something that's interpreted by our brains, influenced by our individual biology and possibly even our moods and memories. Remember our friend, Mr. Colorblind? His tale gave us a peek into a world where reds and greens might be a muddle, but where clarity of vision is not necessarily about seeing the same colours as everyone else. It's about understanding and appreciating the diversity of perception. We also took a deep dive into the scientific side of things, didn't we? We learned about rods, cones, wavelengths, and how our eyes are like little biological machines, decoding the light that bounces off objects around us. We realized that the science behind colour perception is as fascinating as it is complex. We even put our colour perception to the test. Some of you may have discovered that your red is indeed different from my red. And that's not something to be alarmed about, it's something to celebrate, because in the end, isn't it our differences that make us unique? So, to wrap things up, whether your red is the same as mine or not, what truly matters is that we recognize and appreciate the colourful world around us. Our perception of colours, like our personalities, can be different, and that's perfectly fine. After all, diversity is the spice of life. The world is a kaleidoscope of colours, each unique in its own way, just like us. Before you rush off to check if your socks match, let's take a moment to reflect. Isn't it fascinating how our minds interpret the world? Now you might be wondering if your red is my blue, or if your green might be my orange. Well, my dear friend, that's the beauty of perception. It's as unique as we are. As you go about your day, take a moment to appreciate the colours around you. Think about how they might appear to someone else. It's a small exercise, but one that can make us more understanding, more empathetic. Feel free to share your thoughts, your experiences. You never know, your insights might help someone see the world in a new light, or at least in a new shade of red. Remember, no matter how you see the colours, the world is still a vibrant place. Until next time, keep your spirits high and your colours bright.